So we've done a little bit of power rankings. Now I think it's time to go to America, Canada, everywhere's favorite segment, which is the best bets of the week. Now, because he's our guest, because he's done such a fantastic job so far, Degenerate Gambler, why don't you first start by giving us a breakdown of your bets last week, and then you can hop into your bets for this week.
To my best bets of last week, I had the Battlehawks parlayed with the Vipers under. So, again, my blossoming love for Jacob Tamu? Jordan, yeah. Jordan.
We're going to see how many
different J names we
can. James Tamu. Jeremiah Tamu. Good Hawaiian name. My burgeoning love for him may have something to do with the amount of money that he's made me for the last couple of weeks here. The Vipers hitting, again, I did not expect DC to get blanked, but I just sort of assumed that the Vipers would have a low-scoring game because, again, this is me living off of the no offensive touchdowns for their first 2 weeks. Now that I've seen them actually put up points, I'm probably going to be swinging to the other side this week. The other bet that I had was the under in the Renegades Roughnecks at 50.5. I still firmly believe that it is smart to have a standing bet on any under where the total is over 50, because I just have zero faith in bad football to put up a high-scoring game.
Yeah, that's probably the right way to think about things.
Yeah. And then my last best bet was actually a tip from my brother who was listening to a podcast who said that Jonathan Taylor of Wisconsin was running his 40 times around the low 4.4s all through training. But the over-under for his 40 time was set at 4.5 seconds. So it seemed like free money to me. I think he ended up running it at a 4.39 or a 4.41. It was something, he just blew it out of the water. So again, I think that's kind of the interesting part about betting on anything draft related, is that it's not necessarily based on random chance. Because I think the biggest problem with betting football is that it's a weird shaped ball and it bounces funny. Mm-hmm. And every now and then, somebody's knee explodes and then everything's out the window. Whereas betting on the draft, betting on the combine, anything like that, it's more of a game of information and what is available. So if you do listen to enough insiders or whatever it may be, if you can consume a great deal of information leading up to the draft, you can actually probably give yourself a pretty decent edge. So I remember last year, before the draft, I was listening to the fantasy football guys or something like that, the ones out of Arizona, and they were saying, they had a guest on that said, like, no matter what, Marquise Brown was going to be the first wide receiver taken.
Wow.
And they said, and all this other one that they had that they nailed was, there is no way that Jeffrey Simmons, torn ACL at all, makes it past the Tennessee Titans. So if you can hit that pick exactly, you're getting a massive payout. Yeah. And again, it's not based on chance, it's just based on pure information. So if you're able to gather the information that other people don't have, then you should be able to find some value in some of the bets coming up in the draft season here.
You're great. All right, so you went 3-0 last week, so give us your best bet for this week.
Okay, so my beloved Battlehawks are playing the fraud DC Defenders. I don't care what the line is. I'm betting on the Battlehawks, and I'm going to make just an irresponsible bet on them. I'm just going to call it a mortal lock, guarantee, whatever you want to call it.
So your line right now, presuming you're betting tonight.
Yeah, I don't care, whatever.
It is -4.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it got up to -4?
Yeah.
On Bodog?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Hammer it. DC is garbage. The Battlehawks, my boy Jonathan Tamu is Jessica Tamu, whatever. Doesn't matter. Is just going to run a train on them. So, yeah, DC's going to get absolutely rinsed. So, yeah. Bet the house. Okay. My second best bet would be the Vipers money line. I believe they are no longer favored, correct?
It's +105 right now.
Yeah, I would definitely take the +105 again, just basing that on my sort of upswing in their offense. All of their production, while it still looks low, it's greatly more than half the offense of the other teams, and that's all come in the last 2 weeks. So I think that they will be able to put up points on the completely irrelevant Wildcats.
I like that. Okay, yeah. So that's your best of the week. Did you have it? You have to have a degenerate one.
I do have one degenerate bet.
Okay.
And now this is not a political statement at all, but my degenerate bet is under the winner of the U.S. presidential race. Because as of right now, or as of the last time that I looked, in order to win the U.S. presidential race, Mike Pence is paying 220 to 1. Now, this isn't an endorsement of Mike Pence, but Donald Trump is 73 years old, and he's kind of fat. So if you came to me and said, Degenerate Gambler, your overweight grandfather is going to be given the hardest job in the world, and he's going to have a exhausting campaign trail to run over a very hot summer. If you gave me 220 to 1 that my grandpa wasn't going to make it to Christmas, it's worth putting $5 on. That's $1,100.
I think I had that same thought too when Calico Jack.
It's a good bet.
And it's not even like, is there a chance there's some sort of other improprietary thing that Donald Trump does over the next 6 months that gets him kicked out of office finally? Like, and then they just have to go to Mike Pence. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's not like a big bet. I don't know.
Oh no,
This is a flyer, but it's a good flyer on a dartboard, I think.
Man, $5 pays $1,100.
Yeah.
So I mean, I will have one fewer beer at the bar one night, and for the small chance of getting $220 and a dead Donald Trump.
Okay, there you go. You lived up to your degeneracy. What about you, BurritoJesus, for this week?
Yeah, I am going back to the well with the Seattle Dragons. I'm a little disappointed I didn't act earlier in the week. The line was 13.5, but I would take it at 13, which is at Bodog right now, but I'm probably going to wait till it's a minus 110. I don't really like betting the minus 115 for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's still minus 115.
Yeah, it's minus 150. I still feel like it's going to trend back towards the Dragons at some point. I think you'll probably be able to get 13, but even at 12.5, I'm a little bit more hesitant this week than last week because their pass defense has been so bad. It's been the worst in the league by yards per attempt and success rate, which is pretty bad when you're playing the presumed XFL MVP and PJ Walker. And the Roughnecks are also not really afraid of like just completely stepping on people's throats. Mm-hmm. When they scored last week, the first touchdown of the game, they went for 3. And it's like that's kind of the thing you don't want to see when you're betting against them. Like they kind of have both a good offense and an aggressive coaching staff, which is like good for favorites that cover large numbers versus the Battlehawks who have a good offense and probably a bad coaching staff. But if Daniels is starting, I feel like maybe they can kind of score enough points against the Roughnecks defense to keep things close. And it seems tough for me to bet with the Roughnecks this week on that high of a number. And I feel like the Dragons are still like a little bit underrated in the market, and that's why I'm kind of taking plus 13. That's the only best bet I have this week. That's probably the only one I feel really super good about betting, and I don't feel that great about it. But the other one I'm watching, much like the Degenerate Gambler, is the Vipers and Wildcats, and I'm waiting to see what that Vipers line closes at. And I think closer to game time, you can probably get like a higher money line or like +3 on the spread. And I feel like the Vipers.
So we think it's moving that way, +3, +4.
I don't think +4, but maybe +3 by closing.
You both are going to eat that money up if it's +3.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to hammer it. I mean,
last week it closed at +5. Like it seems like the way it's gone so far this season is that the bookmakers like the Vipers, the public hates them, and then the money just flows in on the other side, and then eventually you can just get like a good Vipers number and they cover, which has happened basically the last 2 weeks. And I feel like this week again, like people are going to be betting the Wildcats, and I still feel like the Vipers are probably a better team than the Wildcats, even though they have to cross the country here. But I'm going to wait to see. It's not a best bet, but it's something I'm watching as the kind of the weekend, as the bets move across the weekend.
Yeah, and like a +2 or +3. It doesn't, again, just based on the wonky extra point rules.
That doesn't mean anything to me, really. It's more like I'm waiting for a better money line number, I think.
Yeah, exactly. None of the key numbers seem to fit anymore. Because
I think 6 is probably the only key number because it's like 1 touchdown and then whatever those extra points are, like 6 and 9, because 9 covers basically your bases if they go for 3 on like a score. But it's so weird, like in a tight game, the math changes so much. Like you're not going to go for 3 when you're up. When you score a touchdown to go up 6 in the fourth quarter, you're probably going to go for 1. So then you guarantee that they have to score a touchdown and then they have to score 1. Like it's so weird how the math changes. But
yeah, I'd be interested to see sort of what the average net result of a touchdown is, because I'm sure it's like 6.1 points, whereas in the NFL a touchdown's got to be like 6.7.
It is lower, yeah, because more teams have gone for 2, but they've actually, like, the conversion rate's been pretty low so far this season.
It's been real bad. So I don't know. All the key numbers seem to get blown up by that. I mean, the traditional key numbers.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think. I'm not waiting for it to cross 3. Though I guess on the event a field goal wins the game, that you're kind of better covered in that scenario. But it's still like it's more like I'm waiting for a better money line, I think.
And I still have even less faith in XFL kickers.
Oh yeah,
just because they get in the game once, right? Like
they rarely get in the game.
So I'm all about giving my fans what they want, and they want a parlay. And this week we're doing a value parlay. So if you told me 2 weeks ago that I could get the Defenders at home on a plus 145 money line, I would have said, you're crazy. If you had told me that I could get the Dragons plus 13, I would have said, I'll take that. So what we're going to do, we're going to parlay those two things. This is the Defenders' last stand. This is them at home trying not to be garbage against the Battlehawks. I will take that Defenders plus 145 money line. I will take the Dragons plus 13 points, and I will take those at 3.5 to 1 odds. So I'm putting down $10 to win $35 this week on just those two things happening.
You're going to take the Defenders to a watery grave, my friend.
This is happening. And then going on to Degenerate Gambler's theme, I also have a political bet too. So right now you can get Stacey Abrams as Biden's running mate for plus 400. So Stacey Abrams ran for governor of Georgia, did not win, and has spent the intervening time working on like voting rights, running like a voting rights organization. But she's been hovering, and there's a specific reason she stayed out of the actual presidential race, and I think this is what it is. So Stacey Abrams right now has the third or fourth best odds to be Joe Biden's running mate.
Who's the favorite?
Right now it's Kamala Harris at plus 200. Then you have Amy Klobuchar at plus 350, Elizabeth Warren at plus 400, and then Abrams also at plus 400.
Yeah, if Klobuchar, you think Klobuchar and Warren would have dropped out when Joe Biden was making those phone calls this last week, right?
Like, I don't know. I think there's a reason Stacey Abrams stayed out of the race. So if I can get Stacey Abrams at plus 400, but just behind is Pete Buttigieg at plus 600. Which, yeah. So I think Stacey Abrams at plus 400. I love that just as something to shelve for later.
Fair enough.
Just
Again, information game and not a chance game.
That's all we're putting in there. So I'm putting Stacey Abrams at Biden's running mate for plus 400. But yeah, Defenders plus 145 on the money line and Dragons plus 13. Let's get that 3.5 to 1 parlay.
Nice. I guess we should update the standings for the people listening on the podcast. Of course, people on the YouTube channel will be able to see the standings right on the screen.
We still aren't doing units, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to really fight for units if I actually start winning some of these parlays, so just be aware of that.
Okay. Degenerate Gambler is 7-3 after the last 4 weeks. Calico Jack is 1-3. And I'm 6-1, so
we got hot streaks, but no courage. So we'll see how it happens after this week.
If we do switch to units won and lost, my wife has actually insisted that instead of giving dollar figures, I have to put all of my losses in terms of mortgage payments that have been rents, just so I can understand the gravity of my degeneracy. It doesn't impact my gambling habits at all, but
it's just nice to quantify it.
Yeah, just to really show, like, if you lose this week, you're just a homeless person.
That's fair.
That's fair.